Welcome back to MMA Sucka Fight fans. Today I'm joined by Andrea Amaro, who is fighting this coming Friday at Combate Global. Andrea, how are you today?
I well, just cutting weight, fun part of everything.
Man, that's I know that fight week can be tough. So I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. So starting off, let's go ahead and talk about your how you even got into MMA because from what it sounds like, from what I've heard, it it is not a stretch to say that MMA and martial arts in general saved your life. So go ahead and tell all of the fans about how you got into MMA and um, yeah, um, how you got to where you are today through through that whole process.
Well, first, I was a homeless teen. So starting off with that, being 16 years old on the street, not very many options. I had two options, either go get a job or struggle and find my way to somehow live. So I got myself into college with a running scholarship full time. Um, and during that time, I was still stuck to an abusive boyfriend who I was with since I was 16. He was 21, I was 16. And pretty much I was just stuck to him because, well, it's kind of the only family I had, and a roof over your head sounds great. So I kind of just continued that relationship into my college years, and ended up being like very abusive, like shows being made in public, like spitting in my face, calling me names, public displays of stuff like that. It got to the point where he was beating me, slamming doors on my arms. Sometimes when he was getting angry or whatever, he would just lash out in angry outbursts. And so I ended up, at the end of my college career, I ended up at Bushido MMA in El Paso, Texas. And he was actually my first teacher since I was 10. I confided in him, and he told me, you know what, just come in. And from the time it opens till we close, you can be here, you can train, you can just do homework, hang out. And that's kind of what I did. I just went and I was just training every day from the time they opened to the time they closed. And after a year, he's like, maybe you should be fighting. And he's like, but don't tell me an answer. Either you're all in or you're not. And so I came back the next day and I said, I'm in. Like, I didn't even have to think about it. And that's kind of like how I got started.
So then, at what point did you realize? Because originally, if I recall, you started getting into MMA just as a something to do, and then B, like you said, just sort of self defense against your abusive boyfriend at the time. Um, at what point did you realize, hey, I'm actually really good at this, and that I can fight full time? I obviously was the time that your coach said was the time that your coach asked you if you wanted to fight the first time you thought about actually taking fights, or um,
I had
did you
no
think about
intention
that
of fighting.
beforehand?
I had no intentions of fighting. I had no clue. I was like, I would look at these people and I'd be like, man, that's so cool. Like, I'll never be good enough to do that. But as soon as he told me that, I dropped everything. I quit my job during my first fight, in fact. I quit it. I didn't care. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I didn't think about anything like the future, what I needed now at the time. I just dropped everything I had, and that's what I was doing.
That's so fun. Yeah, and we're glad that you're here, and we're glad that you have gotten through all of your past to get to where you are today. Now you are fighting. You are a three-fight professional, and you recently, over the past couple of years, have found out that. Um,
Okay, there we go.
okay, okay. um, Recently, over the past couple years, you found out that you have lupus. Talk to me. I know you just sort of mentioned it on your social media. Talk to me about how that came about, like how you started seeing the symptoms and all of that, and um, how you found out that you had this disease.
So I'm a recovering, I guess like you can say I was recovering from eating disorders, being in athletics for a long time. So when I was having on and off days, not being able to perform, some days I perform awesome, other days I wasn't. Um, I thought it was just because I was recovering. They told me as long as I was doing what I was doing, it was going to take that much longer to recover. And so I would have these symptoms of being just fatigued and tired, and my thyroid was all messed up. And nobody, the doctor would just kind of pass me off. He's like, oh, you're good, you're okay. And I said, all right. And sometimes I would get random fevers. I remember one time before my fight was healthy, and right before we left, it was one of my last amateur fights. I got a horrible fever, and all the weight I was cutting, they had to pump me back with electrolytes, just random stuff. And so basically, what ended up happening, it was that in the spring or whatever of 2018, 2019, 2018, I started getting super bad rashes like everywhere, and I was getting like respiratory infections, and I was like, okay, like I couldn't even go run or breathe the air because it was so harsh on my chest. And so when I would go to the doctor, he's like, you must have had this for a very long time because it's really bad. He's like, how did you walk around like this? He was like, almost for a month, I was walking around like that. And I was just all right. Like, I just thought it was just normal. And it wasn't until my skin started breaking out all around here and I couldn't get all the rash away. I saw a dermatologist and she's like, that is nothing I can help you with. So she just did a bunch of blood work for me, did me that favor. And we ended up seeing that I had an autoimmune disease. So she says, okay, well, you're going to need to go to your primary care physician, go to a rheumatologist, and then they assess you there and determine what exactly you have. And that's how I kind of got diagnosed. It's kind of crazy because, everybody has different symptoms. So that's kind of how I ended up finding out.
So then going forward, um, what have you done? Like, what can be done to um, either mitigate the symptoms or just make you feel better to where these issues aren't affecting you as much?
It's really random. I mean, you can't really control something a lot of people don't know anything about, especially in the medical field right now. It's kind of just, it's random. Um, but what I've learned is that I like to run in the sun, and as long as I've been doing it, I can't do it as much anymore. So wearing sunscreen, not being in the sun as much. If I want to run, then the morning or the night. No in between. Running inside. Um, Eating better. Remembering like high processed foods. Anything like that will inflame my joints, like highly processed food, high in salt, and all that stuff. Oh, I eat that and it's like game over for me. Um, it's just living a healthy lifestyle, like just what we're supposed to do, like as MMA fighters. So it kind of translates for me to be better as an athlete. Um, but I mean, that's the only thing you can really do to help minimize the symptoms and help yourself a little bit.
And do you know of any athletes or MMA fighters specifically that have lupus other than yourself that you've reached out to just sort of lean on for any support in that way?
No, I know that one of my there was some other girl, but she has a different disease. I think she has like Crohn's disease or something like that. Totally different. And it's really crazy because this this disease, you working out too much and putting so much just working out and rigorous exercise and all that I'm doing really doesn't help it because your bones are fatigued, you're prone to um, injuries, your immune system acting out. So honestly, I haven't met an MMA athlete yet, but I hope so. Maybe someone's out there, maybe someone's experiencing the same things I am.
If anyone's watching this, yeah, give Andrea a shout. So you've up before your last fight, you had taken about 2.5 years between fights. And that was, I assume, partially due to dealing with a lot of that. What was the layoff due to? You shaking your head.
I had a falling out with my original coach. So I moved out to Arizona and I was at Fight Ready for a little while with Santino DeFranco and Angel Cejudo, Eddie Cha. I was out there with them for a little while. Just trying to get a different scene, a different look. I, as a fighter, you got sometimes at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself. Fortunately, things, coaches and gyms sometimes don't work out. And it was really hard for me. So I moved out. It didn't work out. I had to come back. My father got really ill. He's been ill was ill for a very long time. During that year, he broke his hip. He had to get surgery. He broke his arm. His retina detached. So they were telling me, he might not make it. So I came back from Arizona, and it was during the pandemic. And later that year, he died. So between trying to find a different gym, moving back, my father passing, it was really tough. So I had to figure out what I was going to do over here. So the layoff was more just personal things that were going on at a bigger scale for me. And now, I have everybody. I had built a little community in the city where now I'm able to build a little team. So it worked out.
Yeah, we're sorry that you had to deal with all of that. And we're sorry for your father's loss. But we're glad to have you back. Talk to me about your last fight. It was under Combate. It was with Combate Global, and didn't go your way. So talk to me about a little bit about what how you think that went. Do you think the layoff had a factor? Do you think not having a crowd played any factor? I know Combate Global is a little bit bigger of a stage. I don't know if that played into any nerves or anything like that. So just go through and sort of reflect on your last fight, I guess.
To be honest with you, this was my first fight. One, the layoff. Two, this is the first fight that I've ever taken away from my original coach. With a different team, different set of people. So it was really, really, really different for me. I think the shocking change for me, coming off from a layoff, looking at my own personal stuff, and then, it's just a lot of changes. I think anybody, having so much changes like that drastic, it plays effect on you. So, no excuses at all. Like, just going in there, mean, it didn't go my way. That's okay. Things happen, but it just kind of lit a fire under me. And I just came back, started working, and went back to change my mistakes, not just as far as training, but as far as mentally and emotionally. People forget that part of this game is making sure you're present and there.
Yeah, and talk to me a little bit more about that since we're going into your fight this Friday. Talk to me about how the training camp's gone and what you've worked on to sort of tweak things to make things sort of help you out in this coming fight on Friday.
Well, first of all, everything needs to be super more organized for myself. I deal with 4 gyms, so I have 4 coaches. And so we have a small town. We all train with each other. And so I had to figure out, okay, what days am I going to each gym? And that's just it. No one messes with my schedule. I'm not moving around for anything. That's what it is. Also, being a little bit more active, whether I'm doing grappling, MMA, finding something to do. It's important to stay competing and having that competition mentality. And so I decided that I was going to do a grappling tournament before my next fight. It almost didn't happen, but I did. I was at Fight to Win in Albuquerque. And I went ahead and did that. And yay, I came out with a win. So that was super good and successful. And so now we're here and time to do business. And it was just more of here and getting everything organized, I believe, and just coming out and doing what I know that I can do.
Absolutely, that makes sense. And looking at your fight now, looking at your opponent, Cordoba, how do you see her as an opponent? And talk to me about how you see the fight going.
Well, for sure, standing. She's a Muay Thai based girl that I've seen. She's very long. She's tough. You can't take anything away from her. Like, she's tough. So my aim is just, do me. I know I can strike too. And at the end of the day, it's MMA, and I hope to showcase that. My striking, my cage work, my groundwork.
Absolutely. And obviously, getting your hand raised at the end is also something you see, I'm sure.
Yes.
But couple questions to wrap up. One, your nickname, and a lot of people know you as Piggy. Talk to me, tell me a little bit about how that nickname came about. And obviously, you've gotten merch branded with the Piggy like emoji, and you use a lot of your social media stuff has the pig snout emoji and all of that. So yeah, sort of talk to me about how that came about.
First of all, that was my brother's nickname because he's fat. So I know people I know people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're so mean." But you know what? We were both fat kids when growing up. What I weigh now is what I weighed when I was 10 years old. So, we were pretty big. My brother was cutting branches one day, fell back on rocks and split his head open in the back, right in the middle.
Oh.
And so when I saw him, he was crying and they were trying to clean it up. I was trying to put quarters in the back of back of his head, and I said, "Oh, your name is Piggy Bank." So imagine, you're a big boy, you're getting bullied at school, coming into middle school and high school, and at this point, I've already lost the weight, and your big sister's yelling across the hallways, "Piggy, Piggy!" And he's just like, "Be quiet. People are calling me it," and I get into fights because of it. And so I got him tattooed, in fact, on my ankle. I have a pig on my ankle. And my college running coach saw it, and he's like, "That's what you are. You're the runt. You're the runt of the litter." He's like, "You don't know anything. I tell you to go run this fast and whatever, you don't listen." He's like, "So you're the runt. Everybody tries to go get you and kill you." So he started calling me Piggy. And so the name just stood everywhere. The kids that I coach don't know me by my name. They know me as Coach Pig. Nobody calls me by my name. They call me Pig.
And it's all come back full circle to come back to you. That's awesome. I really like that. You mentioned that you ran in college a little bit. Do you think that helps you with your conditioning in MMA at all? Do you think, obviously, it's two different types? MMA is more explosive, but I'm sure that running long distances competitively helps in some type of way.
You know what? I have an endless gas tank. I don't care or how tired I am, how things are going. You can depend on me and my gas tank to just keep going. I just can go and go and go. And it sucks. MMA sucks. So when you get tired, what do you depend on? When you don't have any more explosiveness, when you don't have anything in the gas tank, what do you depend on? It's that cardio. And so in that aspect, it helps me, and it's a mental game. Just like MMA is, going outside and running for 5+ miles, you have to be mentally strong for that. Like, it sucks when you're racing. I race half marathons, so being able to just go and you're going at a fast pace and being able to keep it and be competitive and continue when you're tired, it takes a lot. You don't have music, you don't have anything. There's nothing going on. There's no crowd, there's no nothing. It's you running with a bunch of people, and it's quiet. So it takes a lot up here to be able to do that as well.
So you're saying that not only physically it helped you, but it helped you mentally to work on pushing through hard times and things like that.
Yes.
That's some of the things that people don't think about as much when people come from a different background. Everybody wants to think about the physical advantages, but having the mental advantage against people who just came into MMA without any prior experience, that's a big advantage.
Exactly.
So. So last question before we wrap up. So looking back at where you were when you were 21, what message would you have for that girl that was in college in that abusive relationship? Looking at where you are now, what would you say to her?
I would say that things get better. Things get better. Things are going to get better. You can always change your situation. You can always overcome. You're never stuck. And I think most of all, believe in yourself. And I think that's exactly what I would tell my 21-year-old self. What I've gone through these past few years, things, when you're going through tough times, anyone, sometimes it feels like the end of the world, and you don't stop to think, I can change my situation. Things can change. I can do things different if I really want to. And, believing in yourself is also a big factor. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't respect yourself, if you don't love yourself, who else will do it for you? No one will do it for you. So that's what I would tell my 21-year-old self.
And that's a good message for everybody in that situation as well.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to let you go. Before I do, though, I'll let you have the last word to thank any sponsors, any coaches, and tell people how they can follow you on social media and things like that.
Awesome. First of all, I want to shout out to my mom, Kitty Moons. My coaches at Zen Martial Arts, 10th Planet, Elite Kickboxing, and City Wolves. I want to shout out all my training partners. You guys know who you are. My sponsors, Mayan Solar and Quench and Alpha Elite. Shout out to my management team, Skills Management. And if you all guys want to follow me, you guys can follow me on Instagram at Drea Virginia MMA _ or just Andrea Amaro up on Facebook.
This has been Andrea Amaro. She is fighting this coming Friday for Combate Global. Andrea, thank you for your time and best of luck in your fight.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.